Hey everyone, and welcome back to the ATD Movie Channel. I'm Tony, and today I'll be reviewing Joker, the latest comic book film about the clown prince of darkness himself. Let's jump right into it. So the movie is directed by Todd Phillips, who you know from Old School and The Hangover, and it stars Joaquin Phoenix as Arthur Fleck. So this is a brand new take on the Joker's origin story. And it tells you how Arthur slowly dives into madness and eventually becomes the Joker. So I'll do what I always do. I'll tell you what I liked about the film. I'll tell you what I didn't like about the film, and then I'll give you a conclusion. To me, the most obvious thing I liked about the film is the performance. Joaquin Phoenix gives a brilliant performance in this film. His performance is scary. I mean, just down to the way that he stares down the camera and other characters, there's a real fear from the audience just from his eyes and the way that he looks. The characters also has a side that's really sad. I mean, we feel bad for him because we see how awful he's being treated throughout the film. Now, we can't justify the crimes that he commits, but we want to. And it's a really weird, perplexing feeling as you're watching the movie to feel any sympathy for this guy. Now, he's not funny like he is in other iterations, not even in the slightest. Now, he tries to be, and the trailers give it away that he's sort of a stand-up comedian, but he's not the funny, comical guy that we've seen in other takes. Now, to me, what stood out the most was the portrayal of mental illness. And it's not only believable, it's enthralling. I mean, it captures you, and you know things are getting worse, but you can't help but be glued to the screen. And to me, that's what makes Joaquin Phoenix an Oscar contender this year. Brilliant performance and easily the most standout aspect of the film. Another thing I really enjoyed about the film was the tone. Now, don't kill me, but I know that we overuse the terms dark and gritty. Well, guys, this movie is definitely dark and gritty, and it's not trying to be fun, not even in the slightest. There's very, very little to be happy about throughout this film. Now, there are a couple scenes where my audience laughed out loud, but I think it had a little bit more to do with the nuanced performance than it did with a joke or the way that the script was written. And with all that being said, I personally found joy in watching this man become the menace that we all know through the comics and the TV show, the cartoons, and the films before it. So that part of it I really enjoyed. Another aspect of the tone that's worth noting is Gotham as a city, it's just dirty. And I don't mean that in a more physical sense just as much as I do in a metaphorical sense. The city itself is sinking into chaos. People are not in a good place, financially or mentally. And the way that the movie finds a way to balance the tone with the setting is pretty creative. And I found that they did it in a very classy way without kind of throwing it in your face. Another aspect of the film I really enjoyed is the plot. I mean, yes, there really is a plot to a Joker origin story. The story is very well written. It's clean. It's easy to follow. It's believable. It's grounded in reality. This is just a man. He doesn't have any superpowers. He doesn't have any evil scheme to take over the world. It's just a man sinking into darkness. And what happens around him is a byproduct of his behavior. He's not looking to be the leader of a cult. It just kind of formulates and happens on its own. His behavior and the things he does throughout the movie are a catalyst for other people in the film and what they end up doing. I'm trying not to give anything away that the trailers don't portray, but in general, it's just a normal guy sinking into darkness. Now, there's other things about the movie in general that I really enjoyed, and I don't have a ton of time to dive into them, but I would in the comments. The score, it's perfect. I mean, it's scary, and to me, it plays like a horror film, but not over the top to where it completely takes over the performance. I felt like the score was well written and balanced with the performance on the screen. The other thing I enjoyed, and I talked about it a little bit already, but the production design. Gotham is in shambles. It's in the 1980s, and there's a political backdrop to the film. And I think that the way the production designers created this world, I bought that it was the 80s for sure. From the vehicles to the buildings to the signage, I mean, all of it, you believe it. And then also the costume design. I think that the costume design is believable. it's something that this specific character would have bought or had worn or made himself. And I think that it's just a perfect compliment to the character. Now, I wouldn't say that I didn't like this aspect of the film. I would say that I believe there could be an improvement, and that's the lack of any real supporting characters. Now, it could very well be on purpose that Todd Phillips wrote it this way, that, they didn't want the Joker character to have anybody else to feed off of. It could very well be on purpose, but I felt like with Phoenix being in every single scene, he had to carry the entire film. And believe me, he does a great job, and he's up to the task, but it would have been nice to just have maybe one or two more supporting characters that help flush out the world. Now, in conclusion, I want to tell you that I really, really enjoyed this film, and it's definitely going to be in award contention, but it's almost a horror film, and it's not a bad thing. It's just something that I noticed. I don't really go to a ton of horror movies, but the way that it played out and that slow, steady burn was really effective. It's not for the faint of heart. Please don't take your kids to this movie, even if you think that they can handle it. And now after watching it, I can understand the military's warning to its veterans with training to be on the lookout for any possible odd behavior in the theaters. And unfortunately, that's the world we live in now, where we actually even have to think about this stuff and even talk about it. The theater I went to had security roaming the screening every 20 minutes or so. I hate that that's the world we live in, but it's the reality of the world that we live in. And I really, really hope nothing happens opening weekend and beyond. I mean, the theater is a place that we all go to be entertained, to laugh together, to cry together, and to even be thinking about gun violence in a screening is awful. But again, it's our reality. This movie is very unique, and it finds the perfect balance between the original story that it tells with the Batman canon that we've grown to know and love. I think Phoenix gives an Oscar-worthy performance, and I even believe Todd Phillips is going to be recognized for his writing and or directing. I really, really enjoyed this film. So, have you seen Joker yet? And what did you think of it? And how does Joaquin Phoenix's portrayal compare to the other Jokers in the past? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching my review of Joker. I'll talk to you soon.